I'm bored. Let's read 7 books in 7 days. Today is Saturday. The time is 2:51 p.m. And what has ultimately sparked this little challenge, I need to gamify things in order to push myself forward, unfortunately. I have a hold on a couple of library books that are time sensitive to this week, including Japanese Gothic, which is due tomorrow. Let's see the exact time it's due. It is due tomorrow at 12:23 p.m. It's like 300 and something pages. And honestly, the biggest reason why I even picked it up to begin with is because I've read Mexican Gothic by a completely different author. And how much fun is that? Seeing all the country's Gothics. So that's not the only hold I have. I also finally got a hold of Model Land by Tyra Banks. I could only find it as an available ebook in one of my 3 library cards, and it's due in 3 days. So I'm going to lock in today. I'm going to read Japanese Gothic today. And then tomorrow, I'm going to get serious and I'm going to read Model Land. And then I don't know what's going on for the rest of the week. And that's the other challenge. I'm gonna see how well I can do with keeping up with daily reading during the work week. Because that's always what kind of gets me, you know? You come home from work and you just want to stare at the wall for 4 hours. I'm trying to switch out doom scrolling on my lunch break with reading, so this will help hold me accountable in building better habits. My Kindle is charged, and I am very tempted to go to the neighborhood pool to do some reading. I don't know about you, but I have not really been outside all summer. So I don't know. I'll just, you know what? I think I'm going to go to the pool. Okay, starting my book now out of we'll just say 3. It's 2:55. We're just going to say 3. Okay. I'm back from the pool. I spent about 2 hours sitting in the clouds because there was no sun. There was sun until I got there. Then literally as I sat down, cloudy for hours. I'm 50% of the way through, exactly. So this felt like a good place to stop and give an update. Japanese Gothic is weird. We're following 2 storylines, the first one being from the perspective of Lee Turner. He's a young man in college in the year 2026. And we open up with the aftermath, the immediate aftermath of him running away from the scene of the crime after he has murdered his roommate. He doesn't remember why he murdered his roommate. Most pressing is that he doesn't know what he did with the body, but he is positive he murdered his roommate. He remembers cleaning up the blood, and in his panic of running away from the crime, he goes to join his father in his father's new home in Japan. It is also important to note that during the time of this murder and him going to his father's new home, his mother has been officially pronounced dead after going missing 8 years ago. Lee has been haunted by the ghost of his mother for a long while. He also is sure that he can hear people's heartbeats around him, and sometimes elements of his room change without him understanding why. He also keeps himself pretty well sedated with a number of drugs, and things just are not going his way right now and have not gone his way for quite some time. And then we have our second storyline that's running alongside Lee's. We see Sen, our other main character, who is in the year 1877 in Japan. And we are fresh off of a samurai rebellion that has eliminated almost all of the samurai in the surrounding area, with the exception of Sen's father. And he has come back from this war a changed man who is also determined to raise Sen to be a new generation of samurai. There is quite a bit of conflict and tension with that though, because Sen is a girl, but she is also the oldest and her younger brothers are simply not capable to begin learning. And so she is determined to gain her father's approval by being the best, deadliest samurai she can be, which would also include taking her father's side in terrorizing the household. These 2 storylines connect with both characters living in the same house and also meeting each other under supernatural circumstances. They don't understand why they're able to see each other and communicate with each other. So they're struggling to understand what is it about their house, what is it about them that is connected in this way, and what this ability is meant to do, if it's supposed to help them in any way. What's interesting about this book and about these 2 perspectives is that these are 2 very unreliable narrators. They both have a lot going on. They also both have these recurring moments throughout their respective chapters where it's really unclear if something supernatural is happening or if they're simply losing a grasp on reality. Who's to say one of these characters isn't entirely in the other's head? But they're both very compelling in being these very dangerous characters that are deeply confused and earnestly trying to get an understanding of the other. And they both have these really difficult, odd family dynamics that are so different from each other, but do overlap in being really uncomfortable and scary at times. The atmosphere is very dark and murky and whimsical in a really messed up way, and I'm really enjoying it. I just need to know if Lee really killed that guy. But I also need to go to the gym. So I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna shower, and then I'm gonna circle back for the rest of the evening. It is 10:44 p.m. I have finished Japanese Gothic. My brain feels slightly melted and broken. I am cosplaying Calypso. Odysseus, just eat your lotus flower. This book was crazy, you guys. And it's one of those fever dream stories where genuinely we have these two protagonists that are floating in and out of dreams, memories, false memories, time travel, magic house. We're seeing multiple variations of singular events, and none of it really makes sense up until the final two chapters. But the relationship and the bond between Lee and Sen is really, really interesting because they really are mirrors to each other, and they mirror one another in the most up way possible when it comes to their fathers. This book has so much to say about what makes a ghost. Is a ghost a true ghost in the supernatural entity that we know it to be, or is a ghost a memory? It also explores revenge in a really tragic way. But I really enjoyed this. It's really, really sad and uncomfortable and violent and bloody and magical in a nightmare kind of way. Anyways, I'm gonna stare at the ceiling for like 5 minutes and then go to bed. It's day 2. It's the end of Sunday. It is 9:00 p.m. I am 63% of the way into Model Land by Tyra Banks. I did not lock in today, but I am still making quite a bit of progress. I just don't really see myself finishing Model Land today. The book's like over 500 pages. And also I went to the pool again and took a nap for like 2 hours. Since it's 9 now, I'm going to give myself another hour. But this book, it's genuinely one of the strangest pieces of writing I think I've ever read in my life. I'll be making a whole separate video on it, like as its own thing. But this is a YA dystopian fantasy written by Tyra Banks. It was published in 2011. This was supposed to be book 1 in a trilogy. The trilogy failed. There are no sequels for it. This book isn't even in print anymore. The setting is Metopia. Our main character's name is Tuki de la Creme. Her mother's name is Creamy de la Creme. Her dad's name is Christopher. She has a sister named Miracle, but spelled in a way that's different. And Tuki is a forget-a-girl. That's a forgettable girl. You know? She doesn't align with the beauty standards. She is completely invisible except for when she's being bullied. And every year there is the Day of Discovery, which is one major holiday every year where like 100 girls from all over the nation are chosen to go to Model Land to be a Bella. And a Bella is like a model in training. The last 7 to make it into the big Model Land program are announced to the world to go on to be Intoxibellas. They also get magical powers. I don't know. I feel like every word I read, I am on drugs. I don't know what direction we're going on with this story, especially because it was written with the intention of being book 1 in a trilogy. So this is supposed to be world building heavy, intro heavy, and will most definitely be ending on a cliffhanger that we know will never be completed. I have a feeling that we're supposed to abolish Model Land or something. Whatever I don't finish today, I will need to finish on top of reading an entire book tomorrow on Monday, which will be extra tricky because work and such. But I think I can balance it out with like a novella. Okay. Hey. It is Monday. It is 4:54 p.m. I am back home from work. I finished Model Land around noon. I finished it on my lunch break. My brain has melted, but for completely different reasons. Maybe not even from Japanese Gothic. Japanese Gothic was great. Model Land requires you to essentially learn a new language. Zip zap, sevens, intoxibellas, crazy. Every character has more than one name. I'm making a separate video about Model Land and giving a full recap on what the story is and all of my thoughts about it right now while it's still fresh in my head. And when I'm done doing that recap, however long it takes, I'll circle back with my update on the other book that I'm reading. My head hurts. So I'm gonna take it easy. I have a couple of novellas on my shelves. I have one that I have in mind. Oh, hello there. It is 11:13 p.m. on Monday night. I finished my Model Land recap deep dive and read Get in My Swamp, an ogre romance. Get in My Swamp is very interesting because it's sort of framed as being Shrek fan fiction, and I guess in a way it almost sort of is, in that a couple of the main characters have names that are reminiscent of Shrek characters. So like our ogre is Beck, our leading lady, our leading human lady is Leona. Our sort of antagonists, I guess, are Leona's loser fiance Lawrence and his sister Victoria, whose last name is Fark. And then Beck has a centaur friend named Donnie. But the similarities honestly end there. There's nothing about any of the dynamics. There's nothing about the personalities really that are in line with Shrek. It's really just a couple of hint, nudge, nudge, very vague references to Shrek, which I guess is ultimately for the best, because I don't know if I would call this the most pleasant experience. Get in My Swamp follows human woman Leona, who is on her bachelorette party that she did not plan, that she is not enjoying, and she hates her fiance. She's really only marrying him for the money because she grew up poor and he will give her financial stability, even though he's a mean loser who she is not compatible with at all. Not in a general sense, not in a romantic sense, not sexually. And then there's Beck. Beck is an ogre. He's like the only ogre in the magic community. He has a best friend who is a centaur who sucks. I do not like Donnie. The magical creatures in this swamp are very wary of humans. They're very dangerous. There's a lot of community trauma associated with it. Leona like sort of runs away. She needs to clear her head. She falls into one of Beck's traps and he locks her in a cage in his house. Now, Beck is extremely attracted to Leona, but he makes it clear that he's not going to do anything without her permission, but he is mentally lusting after her. Leona is terrified out of her mind for a little while. She's thinking of ways to escape the cage, get her freedom back. So she thinks of a way, she thinks of seducing Beck. But then things get a little bit real, where the seduction is no longer a ploy and she really is into him, and things get freaky deaky, and also they fall in love. And we do not need to be feeling bad for Lawrence for being cheated on, because oh my god, should I spoil it? Yes. Him and his sister are already having an affair, and it's extremely off-putting and it freaks Leona out, and it's nasty. It's not my favorite from GM Fairy. My favorite from GM Fairy is Pounded by Produce, the one about the two priests that turn into produce and fall in love with the new chef woman person at their church. That's a really good one. I think more people should give that a chance. So yeah, it's late. I'm tired. I have no idea what book I'm taking with me to work tomorrow. I'll figure it out. I'm so sleepy. I'll figure it out. Hey, it's Wednesday. I completely forgot, or not really forgot. I thought about it. I was too tired to film yesterday, but I did read. I picked up Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone, but I only got to about 50% of the way in yesterday. I finished it early today. I have started its sequel, Everyone on This Train is a Suspect, because I loved it. I loved Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone is a murder mystery. I got this recommendation on a video where I was talking about the Luella Van Horn mysteries and how much I loved Luella Van Horn and how much I love a murder mystery that does have a compelling mystery but also is really funny and outrageous. So shout out everyone who recommended me that book. This tells the story of a really, really chaotic family reunion for the Cunningham family. And the Cunningham family is already notorious to the general public, but also like to the authorities, for having a lot of blood on their hands. There are a lot of killers in the family, a lot of criminals. This family reunion is happening at a a pretty secluded ski resort and is also aligned with the day that our main character's brother is being released from prison. This brother was put away in prison for murdering a cop. But things get even more tense when it comes to our main character because he was the one who turned his brother into the police. He testified against him. He was the witness in this murder. And the whole family hates our main character for going against the family, for betraying his brother like that, even though murder is wrong. On top of that, on the fateful night where his brother had murdered someone, our main character was given a large bag of cash, like almost $300,000 that nobody knows about. The police never brought it up. He never brought it up. He still has it. He has brought it to the ski resort to give back to his brother. And then someone gets murdered and no one can leave. And there is a policeman who has showed up to investigate and everyone is a suspect and things keep happening. What I absolutely loved about this book, beyond just the really chaotic family dynamics and beyond this being a really interesting, twisty, turny, compelling mystery, is that our main character is telling us this story through a fictional memoir. And there are these really funny breaks where our main character, Ernest, who goes by Ern, will pause the story to directly speak with us as the reader and be like, okay, so quick recap in case you weren't paying attention, right? So this happened, this happened, this happened. And I am letting you know that there will be some more murders coming up in these chapters, but don't even worry about it. That's not even that crazy of a spoiler, but keep a note of that person who threw up. And it manages to like constantly be checking up on the reader and giving us these extra clues while also not ruining the mystery or being annoying. Like, it is just really funny when he does it. So much happens. There are so many secrets in this family. There are so many parts to the overall story that spans across decades. The stakes are so absurdly high. And our narrator, Ern, is on the case. Is he an investigator? No, but he's still damn good at it. This was awesome. And so now I'm getting into the sequel book. The time is currently 6:47 p.m. on Wednesday. I'd like to try and finish this today. If not, I can get through the vast majority of it and finish early tomorrow morning, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. The premise for the book I'm now currently reading, for Everyone on This Train is a Suspect, Ern is back and he is going to a writers' festival. The Australian Mystery Writers Society invited him to their crime writing festival. And so now he is on a train headed to that festival and someone is going to be killed on this train. I don't know who and I don't know when. It just started. I'm just barely on like chapter 1 still. But I'm really excited because our new central cast is not his chaotic, messy family, but instead a large group of murder mystery writers. And Ern just made a note at the very beginning of the book saying that a good mystery only has one detective. You can't have too many cooks in the kitchen. So I think that's what's going to happen. I mean, a murder on a train where no one can leave and it's filled to the brim with mystery writers. I think everyone is going to be way too involved at all times. I'm going to check back in at the halfway point. And also we'll see what time that happens in. We are back on track, folks. It is Thursday night. The time is currently 10:10 p.m. I finished Everyone on This Train is a Suspect earlier on my lunch break and then immediately jumped into the next book in the series, which is a holiday novella and an optional sort of like inclusion to the series. Everyone This Christmas Has a Secret. And this was super duper short. The audiobook was immediately available in my library and it's only like 5 hours long. I have become a very fast fan of the Ernest Cunningham series and am jumping into book 4 for tomorrow, which will have me all the way caught up. That's the final book in the series thus far. But these books are so much fun. I was right about book 2. I was right about the train, where Ernest is surrounded by all of these mystery authors, and so we have a lot of people sticking their nose into it, trying to be the detective, and also everyone does have a secret. Everyone does have grudges against each other. People have like bad history that go all the way back. You have these authors with these really big egos. What was pretty interesting is how book 2, how Everyone on This Train is a Suspect, how it tackles AI in publishing and conversations surrounding pulp fiction, real fiction, the death of literature. And it's all played out with some really, really distinctly different personalities. I also think it's a really great sequel to the first book. It's just as convoluted, just as complicated, just as messy, just as interesting, just as fun, while also covering subject matter that is dark. Like on top of the murder, all of the situations that are surrounding the murder, all of the reasons that built up into the murder. And the Christmas special was no different. I really enjoy how self-aware and very meta these books are. Ern is constantly pausing the story to talk to us about standards and genre conventions for murder mysteries. In book 3, Everyone This Christmas Has a Secret, Ern's ex-wife, who we meet all the way in book 1, wakes up covered in her new guy's blood and has been arrested for that man's murder, but she doesn't understand how that happened. She doesn't remember anything going wrong that night. It was a normal night. She went to bed. She woke up covered in his blood and finding his dead body. All of the evidence points to her, so she calls Ern to help figure out what happened, which also leads Ern to investigate magicians. And also we are like, what, 3 days away from Christmas? I just think Benjamin Stevenson has a really distinct voice when it comes to the writing of Ern's character, managing to make this narrator be flawed and complicated and messy and have these dark, earnest moments, have these heartwarming moments, while also just being really, really sarcastic and defiant and nosy as hell. Ern manages to be really, really funny and entertaining to watch go through an investigation without being cartoonish, despite a lot of the circumstances and like the majority of the suspects being outlandish. So the most recent installment that I will be starting tomorrow came out a couple months ago in March. Everyone in this bank is a thief. 10 heists, 10 suspects, a murder mystery only Ernest Cunningham can solve in this delightfully clever and twisty new novel. I've spent the last few years solving murders, but a bank heist is a new one, even for me. I've never been a hostage before. The doors are chained shut, no one in or out, which means that when someone in the bank is murdered, everyone is a suspect. The bank robber, the manager, the security guard, the kid, the film producer, the priest, the receptionist, the patient, the caregiver, and me. 2 crimes and 2 intersected mysteries. I'm curious to know how old the kid is and how important he will be in assisting this investigation. Yeah, so far this challenge has been challenging. Who would have thunk it? But so far so good. So I will circle back after work tomorrow, and then I have to tragically find new murder mysteries that fit this vibe. I really liked Vera Wong. I really loved Luella Van Horn. I obviously really love Ernest Cunningham. I hated every time I go on vacation someone dies. I DNF'd that last month. I just love fun murder mysteries. I love fun. I love the TV shows. I love Psych. I love the Knives Out movies, you know? It's 11:32 p.m. on Friday night. I did it, you guys. It's been such a long day. And I'm so sleepy. I will gather all of my thoughts in the morning. I have officially read all the books in the Ernest Cunningham series. It was really good. This whole series is really good. And I also managed to read 7 books in 7 days. And I will have more to say when my brain can work more in tomorrow. Hey! It's Sunday. I spent all of Saturday sleeping in, recuperating, but I'm quite proud of myself. I only really read like 2 novellas, and the rest were 300 plus page novels. And also you watched me become a new really big fan of the Ernest Cunningham series. The most recent installment that I read on Friday was really interesting and reminds me so much of the progression of characters in the Knives Out movies, in that the most recent installment gets really, really introspective about our detective and has him really analyzing his beliefs and his actions and what his true motivations are in his line of work and in how he conducts himself as a person. It's also, I think, the messiest installment that thankfully does remind us that Ern, just like everyone else in his family, does have these morally questionable approaches to things and is not above breaking the law because he feels like it's necessary. I love this series. I'm really excited for any future updates and installments, but also I'm happily surprised with how the week went in terms of like quality books. Even the book that I liked the least, which was Model Land, I don't hate that I read it. And maybe one day I will push myself to attempt 1 book for every day in a whole month. 30 books in 30 days. Yeah, this was fun. Hard, but fun.